Oh, but you felt so good last week, Tarryn. You were so healed last week, Tarryn. You were beyond this last week, Tarryn. What's going on? You didn't expect that today. Oh, yes, let go of the expectations of the outcome. Okay. Hello, and welcome to the Business of Happiness podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Tarryn MacCarthy, and today is going to be a great day. I just got back from a phenomenal vacation, a step out of time, a step out of my routine, a new perspective. I couldn't recommend it more. As somebody who loves to work, I love what I do. I love every moment of what I do. And I tend to entrench myself in it and submerge myself in it and become so passionate about serving and sharing and supporting you, my incredible audience, that I have to remind myself to take a break. And it's the beauty in taking the moments outside of your regular routine and giving yourself presence in the moment outside of your normal day-to-day behavior patterns and work, and giving yourself an opportunity to reconnect. That is so powerful. But let me tell you, what was a challenge is coming back into the routine. And I saw it in every single one of my family members. And so I want to talk to that today. Re-entry after finding a moment of peace and solace and coming back into your day-to-day life and doing so with grace and calm and honoring your emotions along the way. And that's exactly it. Because what we tend to do is we tend to feel like, listen, I have worked through this. I just got some calm. Why is it so hard for me to hold on to this feeling? I'm sure you know what I'm talking about. How many times have you gone on vacation, felt amazing, felt like you have enormous perspective, realized that in your day-to-day life you were swimming in some unrealistic fears and creating some anxiety within your life because you were making things more important than they needed to be. And when you stepped outside of it and gave yourself that enormously beautiful perspective, you realized, oh, what am I doing? I don't need to be worrying about that. This can be easy. I can choose greater, higher self-knowledge and wisdom, right? We get that beautiful glimpse on top of a mountain or at a beach when we're fully aware of ourselves and reconnecting with ourselves, and we think, oh my gosh, I'm going to hold on to this forever. And then it seems so difficult to do so when we step right back into our old behavior patterns. So today we're going to talk about exactly that and how to hang on to that feeling, how to bring that new learned knowledge from your time off, from your new awareness, from that incredible retreat that you just went to. How can you bring that with you into your day-to-day and not lose it? We talk about hanging on to that feeling. How can I hold on to that beautiful feeling? And it's a thing. It's reality. I watched this morning as every single one of my family members spun in an unrealistic anxiety loop. It was fascinating. They all did it. We tend to get the shock to our system when we return to our normal patterns, and it's hard to see ourselves out of it. So how do we do it? The first thing is always the awareness. I mean, that's the magic every single time, is the awareness of it. You know, I liken it to an incredible ocean. That's where I was this week. I just had the luxury of being in the gorgeous, gorgeous beaches of Puerto Rico and watching these phenomenal waves. And it happened to be a time where there's been a lot of wind. So the waves were extra. They were really beautiful. And the wind was whipping. I mean, I had so much awe for the power of nature. I did some snorkeling, and man, did I get whipped around by that water and caught in some riptides that held me back. And I just had this really humbling moment of how powerful nature is. And oceans can be like that. They're so powerful and rough, and they carve out rocks and they carve out mountainside. And There was a point on a beach where we saw this enormous tank that was sitting there from World War II that was stranded on the beach. They were using it as target practice for training of the U.S. military. And over the decades, what the ocean had done to metal and steel and corroded this monster, it's overwhelming. It's beautiful what nature can do. The power is incredible. And there's also enormous peace. There's nothing more tranquil and peaceful than watching waves come in and go back out. So it's so interesting that the ocean can hold both of these personified traits of violence and anger and power, and also beautiful tranquility and calm. And the thing is, we can do both as well. We have the power to do both as beautifully. There are parts of us that are enormously passionate or angry or, alive, where we're loud and huge, and giving ourselves the opportunity to do that is so important. And then there's a part of us that can also just be so peaceful and calm, and both can feel so good in different ways. The challenge is giving ourselves permission to feel what we feel. Even when we know we don't want to be feeling something, even when it feels uncomfortable. Step one is awareness. Always. That is our magical superpower. That is the one thing we can do as human beings that dogs and cats and cows can't. We can be aware. And it's when we try to stuff those things down that we create this anxiety loop. I saw it in my daughter this morning. Oh my gosh, she just was stressed and she was overwhelmed and she was not wanting to go to school the first day of school back from holidays. And I said to her, "Sweetheart, what is wrong? What are you afraid of?" And she said, "I don't know. I just got to go. I just got to go." What a beautiful expression of what we do even as adults. I don't know what's going on with me right now, but I'm just going to push through. That is when we start suppression and emotional bypass. Emotional bypass, I used to wonder, what is this term, emotional bypass? It's when we don't pay attention to the feelings that we're having, when we try to push through. This is that happiness no matter what. This is that positivity no matter what. Well, there's enormous power in choosing happiness and choosing positivity, but it has to come after acknowledging how you feel in the moment. I just went on this great vacation and I am stressed out about getting back to work. Whew. Acknowledge. Awareness. That's it. Number one. And then ask yourself, what is it? Definitely listening to your body is so important. When you're feeling that anxiety, that low, shallow breathing, you almost feel a tightness in your chest and you think, I'm just going to push through. I'm just going to ignore this. I'm just going to do what I need to do the next thing. That's the emotional bypass. That's ignoring your body. That's ignoring that fiery wave that's crashing and thinking, I'm going to hold it back. I'm going to push it back. That's when the anxiety starts to pick up. So remember, you always have the power to pause in the moment and just acknowledge, I feel stressed, even if I've worked on this. And it's so interesting because so many of my coaching friends and colleagues, we all say the same thing. Isn't it crazy that I work on this so much myself, and yet I still find myself back in that same place? And it's the truth. It is our journey for the rest of our lives. We never completely overcome our emotions. No, we get these little triggers that remind us of old wounds, of old stories, of old fears. And the most powerful place to start is the awareness of it. Oh yeah, I'm stressed. What are you stressed about? And then you can start exploring it. Oh yeah, I'm feeling anxiety because I'm feeling like I haven't done enough work. Like I'm coming at the day 2 steps behind. Oh, isn't that interesting? Because that isn't the truth. Isn't that interesting? Because there is no such thing as being fully prepared. I love this quote. She was never fully prepared, but she was courageous and brave. And the universe loves courage and will support her every time. And that's true. We are never fully ready for anything. How could we ever be? Every experience is a new one. So how could we ever be fully ready? We never will be. But being courageous is a different choice. Acknowledging, I'm really stressed out right now. I'm feeling like I'm behind. I'm feeling like I should be better prepared. Oh yeah, I'm not. And that's okay. That's an old story. And then letting it go. Another big piece of it is letting go of your expected outcome. I really wanted this to be the best day back to work. I really wanted this to be the best reentry. Let go of that expectation. Rather, give yourself enormous compassion for the moment you're in. And recognizing that moment that you're in is so important because that is the part of the awareness of where you are. Of course, we want to be in a better feeling place. Who wants to feel anxiety? Not me, ever. It's uncomfortable, always. And we know intellectually all it is a fear from the past, reliving an old wound, right? That's causing this anxiety. Once when this happened, I had this happen or I felt a certain way. And so we know that anxiety is only worrying about something past or worrying about a potential future that we have no control over anyway. And we keep hearing, and I keep saying, just return to the present. Remember, in this moment, I am safe. But in this moment, I am feeling stress. Another critical part of being present in the moment. The emotional bypass is when you're not present in the moment. When you're saying, I'm going to push through this moment and not be present to this feeling. I'm just going to push through. That's the emotional bypass. But when we can be present in the moment, it doesn't mean that we're ignoring the feeling and saying, I'm just going to look the other way. It's saying, oh, yes, I'm feeling this uncomfortable feeling at the moment. It's not the one I wanted to feel, but oh, it's there. Then giving ourselves some compassion and some grace. If you're listening to this podcast, chances are you didn't get into business to be miserable. The problem is that people feel that if their business gets busier, if they start becoming more successful, that happiness will eventually set in. But it can actually get worse. This is why I created the Business of Happiness Prosperity Coaching. In this one-on-one coaching, we look at how to redefine success on your terms and re-find the joy and the passion in your dream. Visit me at thebizofhappiness.com and become the happiest business owner you know. We don't get frustrated or impatient with the ocean or the wind. It just is. The wind is blowing and we don't question it. Why is this happening to me? Why is the wind blowing? How can we have that same compassion in the moment for ourselves? We tell ourselves, why is this happening? I was just on this great vacation. I was just taking a break. I was just feeling good about myself. And now I'm feeling bad again. Why is this happening? Let it go. Just acknowledge it. Oh, this is happening. I'm feeling stress. Okay, I can now let that feeling go because I am safe in this moment. But the first step is the awareness of how you're feeling in the moment. That's step one, awareness, true awareness. And some people say to me, Tarryn, I don't even know how to be aware anymore. What does that even mean? Here is my tip for you. You know what's coming because I say this all the time. Close your eyes and take a deep breath. Something that I've learned to add to this practice is to put my hand on my heart. And for those of you who are looking at this on the YouTube version of today's podcast, you'll see my hand went there before I even started speaking. But this helps me connect with myself. It helps me center myself in this moment. And I take a deep breath and I let it out. And I ask myself, what am I feeling in this moment? How can I be present in this moment? And I recognize, oh, I'm feeling stress. and I give myself compassion. Oh, it's okay. And that old story comes into my brain and it says, oh, but you felt so good last week, Tarryn. You were so healed last week, Tarryn. You were beyond this last week, Tarryn. What's going on? You didn't expect that today. Oh, yes, let go of the expectations of the outcome. Okay, I'm already feeling better. Let go of the expectations. Today, I get to choose a new feeling. And that's where the power sets in. See, it's emotional bypasses when you don't do that first step, that acknowledgement of what is happening in your body, in your heart, in your soul, in your mind, acknowledging and having awareness of the thoughts that are flying through your head, and then reminding yourself that you are not your thoughts and you get to choose again. Oh, I can choose something that feels better. I can choose to see this as an opportunity to learn what triggers my anxiety. Did I try to come back too fast? Did I try to cram in too much in my schedule? You know, this morning, before I did this podcast for you, I already said no to 2 things. I'm about to say no to 4 more. Because I realized, oh, this whole family of mine, and I'm including myself in that too, is having a little bit of pain re-entering after our holiday. So I'm going to give us enormous compassion. I'm going to turn some things down. We've got a lot on our plates, and it's time to just have compassion so that we can reconnect with ourselves. And then I love some visual imagery. I learned this phenomenal visual imagery from a great mentor and friend of mine, Tracy Litt. She's amazing. She is the CEO of the Lit Factor. If you have any inclination to research her, I highly recommend it. She's amazing. And she gave several of us a really powerful visualization technique I'd love to share with you now. It's called the glass elevator. And the glass elevator is, imagine for a moment that each of us are living in a glass elevator. So, you know, you can look all around, you can see outside all the walls of the glass elevator. And this glass elevator can go up and down. And so you can at any point travel all the way up or all the way down. And if you imagine the lower levels of your glass elevator, kind of the lower floors of stopping on your glass elevator, those are the low vibe emotions. Those are the emotions of fear and anxiety and anger and distrust and frustration and overwhelm. Those are kind of the low floors. And imagine the really high floors are the ones you're feeling when you're feeling your best. Empowerment and love and appreciation and gratitude. And when you can see that we're all one and everyone's just trying to get through, and we can have compassion for one another, compassion for ourselves, kind of that timeless space. And of course, there are many floors in between. One of the things about that beautiful higher level space is when we fly up to the 110th floor, we get perspective. That's what that emotion is when you're on vacation, when you're pulling yourself out of your mundane day-to-day to-dos, have-tos, fears, worries, and struggles, right? When we go to the beach, when we go to the mountaintop, when we pull ourselves out and give ourselves some room to breathe, we gain perspective. So imagine that in your glass elevator on the 110th floor, you have perspective. You can look down and see your environment for the truth of what it is, right? And when you're down on the level 3, the lowest floor, you're embedded in it. That is your frustration embedded in the muck, right? And when those moments hit you, when you're just feeling it, and you're thinking, oh my God, and this is going to happen, and this is going to happen, and my fears from the past, and my fears for the future, and I'm swimming in this anxiety, and he's got anger, and she's got anger, and time is running out, and I got to get to school on time, and I've got to have this ready. Take a deep breath. Put your hand on your heart. Close your eyes. Acknowledge, wow, I'm on level 3. I'm in it. I'm in this glass elevator, and I am in the low-level floors of the muck. Ooh, and it feels like it. That's that first awareness and acknowledgement. Give yourself a little bit of grace. And then you get to choose another floor. That's it. The visualization of it is everything. The levity of it is everything. All you do is you pretend, I'm going to hit floor 100. I'm going up. Boop. And literally imagine yourself pressing a button. And now feel your elevator fly way up high. I love the idea of the glass elevator because from that Charlie and the Chocolate Factory movie, remember, it goes through the ceiling. There is no stopping it. So I fly way up into the clouds and I get enormous perspective. Oh, ho, ho, ho. From up here, now I get to see. Now I see, oh, isn't that interesting? We're just getting back into a new routine. We just came back from vacation and it's a challenge. It's not a representation of my parenting. It's not a representation of us being stuck in anxiety. This is just a moment in time. And oh, look, tomorrow we all feel a little bit better. Oh, and look, we got so much closer to each other last week when we were on holiday. And oh, look, I get to choose a new perspective. I don't have to stay in this low level vibration, in this low level emotion. I get to choose a new one. And today I choose calm and compassion for myself. Because I know as a mom, I'm going to need to do that for my whole family. I know as a leader, I'm going to need to do that for my whole team. I know as a coach, I'm going to need to do that for all my clients. I know as a friend, I'm going to need to do that for all my friends who are having trouble coming back in. So guess what I'm going to choose? I'm going to choose compassion. So you get to choose again. You get to fly up to that new perspective space and choose again. You haven't ignored the feelings. You haven't denied the feelings. You haven't stuffed them down. You acknowledge them. And then, unlike the ocean, you get to choose your new perspective and your new thought pattern. We never have to be slave to our thoughts. We never have to stay in that low-level feeling. We do have to acknowledge it, and then we get to move through it. Then we get to come out on the other side, and we can let go of those old stories of how can I hold on to this feeling longer, and I should be able to hold on to the vacation feeling longer. Says who? Says who? But you do get to choose. You do get to go back to that space. You do get to acknowledge how you feel, and then you get to press any button you like on that glass elevator in a heartbeat. And that's how quickly it works. It doesn't take a full day of therapy. It doesn't take a full day of returning to the ocean, because when you come back, you'll have the same thing happen. All it takes is acknowledgement, compassion, and then you get to choose again. It's the miracle of who we are. It's the superpower of human beings. Our brains can do this for us. Our brains, just as easily as they recreate old traumas and they imagine new fears in the future, we can use that power to our benefit. And we get to choose a new perspective again. And always we get to choose compassion. You know, to all of you who are returning from a vacation, to all of you that are getting back into a new routine, I feel you, my friends. I hear you, my friends. My whole family feels you. You are not alone. This can be hard, even if you're a coach, even if you're a leader, even if you've been practicing this for so many years. It's a part of the work, but the thing we get to learn from it is we always get to choose again. This is why in the morning we get to say, you know what, this is going to be a great day. Doesn't mean that it's going to be an easy day, but it's going to be a great day. Doesn't mean that it's going to feel like I'm still on the beach, but it's going to be a great day because I can acknowledge how I feel. I can give myself compassion and I can choose again. Thank you. As always, I am always humbled and honored to be sharing this message with you. Every single time. And it is so important for me to keep sharing these messages. And I know that each and every one of you who receives this, who can find some commonality in it, who can find a resource to get through this beautiful thing we call life. I know that every time I do so, you can pass this on further. And we can have the ripple effects of how to support one another, because we can't do it alone. Sometimes we just need a friend, a coach, a colleague, a girlfriend, a mother, a sister, a daughter to remind us of our worthiness, that we get to be that beautiful ocean. We get to be the stormy, ragey gorgeousness. Acknowledge it and love it. And then we get to choose the calm. If you know somebody who needs to hear that message today, please share this episode. And as always, remember, when you feel good, that's when you can do good. Bye-bye.